Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. On today's show, we're celebrating a little extra love this Valentine's season. From art that gives back to sweet treats made with care, all right here in New Jersey. First, Brian Herman turned creative moments with his kids into something bigger. Be Nice Inc. is a family-driven art project where imagination meets impact. And 100% of profits are donated to causes that matter. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I fell in love with this the second I saw it on Instagram. Just the vibe, the colors, and just the passion comes through.
Well, great. I love it.
So tell us how the story all began.
Yeah, so Be Nice Inc. is a family project. It's about art, creativity, spreading positivity, and then creating cool art. Hopefully that art helps other people create art and inspires, but also raises money for good causes. So that's kind of really what we're all about. I started really working with my kids as a way to bond and color and draw, and I started making stories and characters just for them, some of these stickers and characters you see today. And that was really impactful and meaningful for me for a few ways. One, it was just a great way to bond with my kids and teach them some lessons and work on some cool stuff. But it also got me drawing and coloring and doing things that I haven't done in years. As a kid, I always loved to draw, I loved to create. You asked me what I wanted to be up until 15, it was an artist. And somewhere along the way, I think just with a lot of adults, you get into a career, you get into work, and next thing you know, 10 years went by, and I didn't draw at all. And I think something was missing for me, really. I didn't know it at the time, but once I started drawing with my kids and creating some cool stuff, I think it had a really positive effect on kind of my mental health and happiness. So we just kind of kept that going. I tried to have a lot of fun with it, and at some point, my wife and my kids kind of influenced me to kind of get the art out of our living room, out of our kitchen table, and out into the world in some way. So about a year ago, we created some stickers, and we put our kind of take on the classic lemonade stand with our family in our neighborhood, set up a shop, and started selling stickers. We were nervous if anybody was going to like them or buy them. We were fortunate enough that people did, so we raised some money, and we're kind of keeping it going. A year later, we just launched a website, an Instagram page, an online shop, and our goal is to make cool stuff that makes people smile, hopefully gets other people drawing again. So we do things like coloring book, coloring pages, and then our goal is to also generate some money for good causes, specifically causes close to home in New Jersey. I think our philosophy is, if you can make the immediate world around you just a little bit better, why not, as a great place to start. So I said, we're just getting started, but we're having a lot of fun along the way.
Well, you could tell you are a true artist, because I couldn't sell the artwork I do with my kids for a penny, never mind what you've been able to do. So you have a lot of characters in this Be Nice Inc. world. Tell me about some of them.
Sure. The foundation of what we do is, there's two characters, Deck and Mace, after my two boys, so Declan and Mason. Their imaginary sidekick, Paint Man. Ultimately, we're trying to tell a story, with these stickers about, two boys and their sidekick that use, art and creativity to make the world a better place. Along the way, whatever my kids are into becomes a character. So some of them are based on a school mascot, a football team, but we'll put our spin on it. Birthday parties are big. My son wants an American Eagle birthday theme. You'll see our next sticker is, an American Eagle with him on the back with a paintbrush. Our goal is, if we can make it on a kid's water bottle and they like it and they want another one and another one, and it's a good initiative. So that's kind of where it's all kind of based.
So for parents watching that maybe have a kid with a birthday coming up, if they wanted you to create a character, are you accepting submissions?
I think we're open to anything. Currently, we're not doing a ton of custom work, but we're certainly open to it. We'd create a sticker really for anybody, anywhere, if we think that sticker can have a positive impact. We've done some stuff based around local sports teams. One of the things that worked out really well, my 7-year-old was in Cub Scouts. We did a Pinewood Derby, character, race car, and then we generated some good money for Cub Scouts and things like that. So wherever we can make an impact and get people drawing, is just a big part of what we do.
Well, it's very therapeutic, even for especially for adults with all the stresses. I mean, they have adult coloring books. It's like a
Right.
whole world, right?
Absolutely. So, if you do go to our website, what you'll see is there's actually some really good science on just the power. Like, art is powerful. I think anybody who sits down and draws and spends a few minutes, I mean, it's scientifically proven to kind of help with depression, help with stress, ADHD. A lot of people just can't sit still, adults and kids, and kind of getting your hand moving a little bit is great. One of the things that kind of I found out through drawing with my kids is you don't have to draw and be an artist and try and get in the Met. It's just the process of drawing stuff. Kids are happy, they draw all day. It's just about the process of, kind of drawing and creating. It's been super important. And then, so many people I talk to, they drew when they were younger and they want to draw again. So, a lot of what we do is, create some coloring pages that are based off of some of the stickers, and, we leave them in the doctor's office, the library, people print them off. We have a free coloring book on our website, but, what we love to see is more people create. And, I think that kind of spreads and, has a positive impact. And so, as this kind of all comes together, that's kind of really what we're trying to do is, just fuel creativity and positivity, and hopefully we can generate a few bucks along the way.
Well, you have been, because you just donated $10,000 to a nonprofit here in New Jersey.
Yeah, we are making our first big donation. We started a foundation, Be Nice Inc. Foundation, that's linked to kind of this brand. And our first big donation is with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Northern New Jersey. I think they're technically coastal in Northern New Jersey now. Any organization that can have a direct impact on not just kids, but what I've seen is the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, just through some personal experience and friends. I think they get just as much out of it as kind of who they help support. That forms a personal connection there. So when we kind of sat down and said, what do we want to do with some of this money? We created a foundation, but that foundation is really about getting those dollars we generate into the hands of charitable organizations that we think have the biggest impact and know what to do with it. And our hope is that if we can do two things, one, support an organization like that and help them kind of do what they do, which is spread positivity and connection through bigs and littles, but maybe, even, in the future, design some custom stickers with them or coloring pages that they can use as part of what they do in their CARES program. That's just kind of our first step in trying to give back. So we're really excited about it. My kids get a kick out of, kind of the fundraising and, kind of that lemonade stand idea. And anytime somebody buys something, we're just thrilled. Anytime we get a like on Instagram, we're just thrilled. We're really just getting started. And, just the fact that people have kind of resonated with what we're doing, they've bought stuff. Kids have, our stickers on their water bottles. We see parents kind of with hats or sweatshirts around town. We're just happy that, we're spreading some positivity along the way.
What a lesson you're teaching your young sons.
I just felt like if this was just a family project and nothing more, and a couple of our friends wore hats or like the stickers, that would be plenty. But I wanted to teach my kids a few things along the way. One is, big part of this is them. They're super into art, creativity. They love these characters. They're always thinking about new ones. And I wanted to create, something that we could do together that I hope they'll still be into and want to do as they get into middle school and then adulthood. So just some way where we could continue to create, because I think just, growing up, so many of my friends were into art and things like that. And as you become an adult, it's hard to keep it going.
Totally.
So, I wanted to do that. A lot of the, stories and characters that we develop, are ultimately around creating an impact, and we'll teach some life lessons there. A lot of the characters, we've developed kind of like some playing cards that, have superpowers. It's all about positivity, creativity. A lot of what I've seen out there around just positivity, I don't know if it resonated with two young boys. It's great stuff, but a lot of it is, has a little bit of a different feel to it. I think our characters, they wear Jordans, they have jetpacks.
Yeah, they have an edge.
Yes. And so that's what we're trying to do. And then the last thing I'd like to accomplish is, just showing my kids that if you want to start something like Be Nice Inc. or a brand or something, you got to dream big and you got to start at the beginning. So we actually applied for a trademark and they got that and they feel good about that. When we set up a bank account, I talked to them about going down to Chase Bank and, the website. So, they're 7 and 5, they kind of get it. But whether it's running a lemonade stand or selling stickers, I think there's some, just lessons about kind of life and business there too. So we're going to continue down this road as long as we're having fun with it.
You need to make like a parenting book next or something, because I mean, what great advice.
I know somebody who could write it. I'll draw the pictures. So if you want to work together.
I will write it. Oh, you have to tell me what to write though.
That sounds like a collaboration. I like it.
I love that. That is so cool. Well, you are giving our viewers a discount code, which I think is very generous. Tell us about that.
Yes, so the discount code is ONNJ2026. That gives your viewers, your team, 15% off of anything on our website. Any profit we make from our website gets donated directly to good causes and charitable organizations. And we'd love for your viewers to check out the website. We have some great stuff there, some hoodies and hats and stickers, and we just love to pass on that discount code to you and your viewers, and appreciate everything you guys do, just to tell New Jersey story. Hopefully people like the stuff. We do sweatshirts and hats that just say "Be Nice" on them. What we found and what I'm hearing from my friends who wear them, or just kind of wear a Be Nice Inc. hat at the airport, is people are a little bit nicer to you when you're wearing a Be Nice shirt.
It's a great message. No better one.
I think it's just a good way to, we hope, help kind of spread the message, spread positivity, positive attitude, and so we'd love if you checked it out.
Brian, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy our mutual friend posted about you. We'll shout him out, Tony Sorrentino, another former guest of Your New Jersey.
The power of New Jersey and connections, and it's just it's great, and everything you're doing here is great to tell that story. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're honored to have you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Some Days Montclair location is known for their croissants made from scratch and warm hospitality. Orlando Brown, Chief Culinary Officer at Some Days Bakery, is here to tell and show us more. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I am going to pass out from the sweet goodness right here because I just can't wait to try one. Before we start, just tell us what you brought in today from Some Days.
So this is an assortment of our product. We are a croissant-based bakery, so pretty much everything is made from croissant dough. So it's just variations on croissants. This one right here is a chocolate pan Swiss. We have a pistachio lattice with a little bit of raspberry jam. This is one of our most popular items. It's a tahini chocolate croissant. It has tahini frangipane and then black sesame brittle on top. This one over here is a special we're doing right now for the holidays. It's eggnog. It's filled with eggnog pastry cream. So just a variety of what we make. This is another one of our really popular ones. It's a blueberry cardamom bun. And again, everything is made from laminated croissant dough. And then we just take a lot of pride in doing different shapes and different flavors and fillings and seasonal items.
What a great idea to create all of this from croissant. There's nothing better than a fresh, buttery croissant.
100%.
So where did the idea come from?
Where did the idea come from? So my partner, Peter Phillips, kind of had an idea to start a bakery that was very focused on laminated dough, and brought me along, and we saw eye to eye, and kind of gave me creative freedom to just make cool product.
What's the reception been?
Overwhelmingly positive. We just opened our 5th location in Manhattan, and we've been open for about 2 years now. So to get to 5 locations in 2 years was something I never thought would happen. So it's pretty amazing. So it's been great. I mean, I love to bake and to be able to disseminate the product, but also the skill set of laminated dough to a lot of people, a lot of different bakers has been a lot of fun.
I can't wait to taste, but you said they look as good as they taste, or they taste as good as they look,
They
right?
definitely taste as good as they might taste better than they look.
Which is, they don't even look real. They look like decor.
I can see that. It's funny because I've actually kind of gotten used to how they look, so they don't. I always want them to look better than they do, but then people see them and like they look amazing. I'm like, okay, I agree, but I also wish they were even nicer.
How do you get that look? Because like when I bake at home, you know, they all come out hodgepodgey, but this is perfection. So how do you get that look?
How do we get that look? I mean, a lot of time spent on the lamination process. So laminating, for anybody who doesn't know, is the process of putting butter between layers of dough, and that's what you're seeing whenever you see the layers. And then just doing that correctly, the right time, temperature, really focusing on doing it well. And then, you know, just consistency. People, you just do it over and over again. Like I said, we just opened another location, and you see it in the beginning. It does take a little bit of time for the whole team to get used to the process and, you know, comfortable doing it. But once you're in the routine, you know, it gets better every day.
What's your background?
So I've done a lot of things, but about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to get back into the food industry. I started working at a bakery in the city and kind of just fell in love with it and kind of like immersed myself into the baking world, and really, like, you know, I had a lot of great teachers, but also a lot of just learning on my own, figuring things out, trying to make things better. So I always complain that people like will be like, this is the only way to do something. There's, especially in baking, there's a lot of ways to do things. There's wrong ways, but there's a lot of right ways. So like, I really try to express that to people I work with. Like, just because we do it a certain way at some days doesn't make it the right way, but it is the way we do it at some days. And, you know, and if you have a better way, we're open to feedback, we're open to other ideas, and especially as we grow and you get a lot of talented bakers, the more input, the better our product's gonna be, the better we're gonna be able to make croissants that everybody will enjoy.
Through some days, you do a lot of charitable givebacks and helping out the community. How do you do so?
I mean, whenever the opportunity arises to join with groups that align with our values, we're definitely willing to talk about it and to find ways to give back. I know our Montclair location, which opened in the middle of 2025, has done a lot in the community whenever they can. And that's one thing that makes us a little unique, where some days is a franchise-oriented business, so every location is independently owned. So they very much can immerse themselves in the community and really find causes and causes in their community that they want to give back to and help out with.
And Montclair is so forward-thinking. It's known as the sixth borough in a lot of circles. What do you see the difference? What are the differences you see between the Montclair location and our friends across the river?
Oh man, so I live like 10 minutes from Montclair, so I'm there a lot. It's a great community, just like as far as one thing, they've welcomed some days with open arms, and like really, you know, Upper Montclair is a very kind of small town feel, and you know, they've really kind of accepted us and welcomed us into the community, and you feel that from the community, like when you're welcome and you become a part of the community where people go, you know, people plan to meet there on weekend mornings, and it's a meetup spot where you can see your friends or see your family. So it's really, you know, it's different than the city, where, you know, you have that a little bit, but the Montclair location really feels like a part of the community.
Yeah, that's great. Well, what is next for Some Days? Are you planning on expanding more throughout New Jersey?
That is always the hope, but we definitely are. We're looking at other locations in New Jersey, and hopefully in the coming year or so, we'll have another location in Jersey.
That's great. Do you get ideas for future flavors from your customers, or how do you source that?
Really, from anywhere possible. So, you know, I always joke, I get endless messages from people sending me pictures of croissants or flavor ideas on Instagram or text or carrier pigeon, any way they can get them to me. It comes from everywhere. It also just comes from things that I really liked. I always think back to things I really liked as a kid. Like, we're gonna do a Ferrero Rocher croissant coming up in the next menu. So anything can be an inspiration. We did like a hot dog croissant over the summer, because who doesn't like a hot dog in the summer?
Was that well received?
That was really even better. It was better than I thought it would be. Like, you know, when the idea came about, I was like, all right, we can do this. But then like in the actual product was really good, and everyone loved it. It was like, you know, it was a definite fan favorite.
What's been your favorite suggestion that you just took and ran with?
Probably the hot dog one. I mean, it was simple, but it was honestly, it was so well received. Like everyone liked it. People still ask for it, even in the like. People are always asking, when are we gonna have it again? So it probably was my favorite. Like it was. I was shocked how good it was, and also just how many people enjoyed it, and especially in summertime, just kind of you think of hot dogs and hamburgers. So that one was really fun.
Hamburger croissant. That could be for next summer.
Hamburgers I've always wanted to do, but we did a collab with a local hamburger spot in Montclair called Dan and Days, but they sold it out of their location because it's hard to make a hamburger and have it in a croissant. But if I can figure it out, I would definitely love to do a hamburger croissant in the stores.
How often are you changing the menu?
We change it about every 2 months, and then we do some other items for holidays.
Every 2 months. So you have to create all new croissants every 2 months. That's a lot. A lot of creating.
We do about 6 to 8 new items. We have some of them that stay on the menu, like the classics, plain croissant, chocolate croissant are always on the menu, and then we have about 6 to 8 items that rotate every 2 months.
Does some days have coffee or anything else?
We have a coffee program that we're actually expanding, so we do full range of espresso drinks, and we just actually changed to like a local roaster called Petro, and we've been really happy with them so far. So
that's great. Valentine's Day is almost upon us. What are you offering for February 14th?
So I'm actually really excited because we've just started rolling out products specific to holidays. So for Valentine's Day, we're going to do a heart-shaped Linzer cookie, which is always a fun one. A mini croissant with strawberry pastry cream dipped in chocolate, and then the final one will be a mini cake, a chocolate raspberry cake covered in a chocolate shell. So they're all like chocolatey, pink hues, very like Valentine's Day, and we're really excited to give it to the community.
And best of all, no calories.
Yeah, no calories here.
That is very important. When you source your flour, your sugar, do you work with local New Jersey providers?
I always try to incorporate local ingredients, especially into the seasonal products. So either Jersey or New York, but definitely local Jersey farms there's pretty much always something on the menu that's from a local Jersey farm. Not so much for flour, but definitely for the produce that we use. We also recently became a seed oil-free bakery, which is also
super important.
Yeah.
Wow. What made you make that change?
It's not a difficult thing to do, so we didn't use a lot of seed oils to begin with, so just to cut them out completely and offer that to our customer was important to us.
How about for your gluten-free, dairy-free? Have you mastered that yet?
We are gluten-full, and hopefully in some point in the near future we'll have like 1 or 2 vegan options on the menu, but nothing probably that will ever be, well, the vegan option, but otherwise all of our products have butter and eggs and milk.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff in them.
I love it. Where can people find out more, and where can they visit?
So you can always visit the Montclair location. We're open 7 days a week, 7 to 9. We actually do a late night menu that changes later in the day, so we offer some cakes, cookies and brownies later in the day. We're also in Queens and in Manhattan now, and find us on Instagram at Somedays Bakery.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to try. We'll put it on Instagram, the tasting with me and the crew. And thank you again for bringing me some sweetness for Valentine's Day.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week. Next time on Your New Jersey.
The thought that there are people experiencing homelessness is foreign to a lot of people.
But we serve over 150 meals every day. And these are working people that, in most cases, need this food.
Spark NJ provides funding, unrestricted funding, to Black-led nonprofits in New Jersey. And we have a rather unique process. We want our grants to be trust-based. So from the very beginning, we have never required an application, and we don't require long accounting reports afterwards. We trust the organizations to do what they say they will do, and we give them the money unrestricted. We operate with nominators. who are people out in the field in various communities, geographic communities, as well as service communities, such as food insecurity or education. And we ask those people to bring to us nonprofits that they think Spark NJ should fund.
We're down at the retail level, helping in any way we can. And through generous donations, we're up to 6 times per month now with fresh fruit and produce delivery. In fact, we just dropped off a giant van full of produce and fruit minutes ago.
It's really a lot of word of mouth, like anything that's worthwhile and good and honest. And so, especially where we live, people don't know what to do. They have all this excess stuff.
Right.
Where should I go? What should I do?
Exactly.
And they always say us.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.